2026 a good year to buy or sell a home in the Tri-Cities? The market is changing, and if you're not changing with it, it could cost you tens of thousands of dollars. Let's talk about what's really happening in the Tri-Cities real estate market this year. Hey everyone, Jay Cottrell here. I am a local real estate agent here in the Tri-Cities with LPT Realty, and today I want to break down my 2026 housing market outlook, looking at mortgage rate projections, local MLS data, and what I'm seeing on the ground with buyers and sellers. But before we get started with that, some of you might be asking, where have I been? Well, I've still been here helping sellers and buyers and investors in our local market. But additionally, I decided to start a construction company this year. So between helping people, let's put it this way, fix decks that were done by others and helping people buy or sell their home, there was not enough time to do these videos because they do take time to shoot, edit, and publish. So I do apologize for not getting out there. I believe the last video I published was from about this time last year. But one of the things I want to do this year is make sure that I get more of these out. They will not be as regular as they have been in the past, but I still want to make sure that you're receiving relevant local information about our market. So before we get started with 2026, let's take a quick look back at 2025. You can see the absorption rate, or the estimated time it would take to completely sell every house on the market, was up almost 31% compared to 2024. The list price was up over 4%. Sales prices were up over 5.5%. Days on market was up over 3.5%. The number of homes for sale was up almost 11%, and the number of home sales was up just about 3%. So how can all of those numbers be going up at the same time? Wouldn't you think that if inventory is increasing, prices would be coming down? Well, what happened is you saw as inventory increased, home prices did not appreciate as much as they had done in previous years, and the sales pace slowed down to a more normal sales pace for our market. If you look at this graph of active listings versus pending listings versus sold listings for each month in 2025, you can see that even though the inventory of active homes for sale grew, the pending and sales stayed fairly flat with very little fluctuation. That is actually normal for our market. So as you've heard me say many, many times, 2021, 2, 3, even some of 4 were not normal conditions for our market. You saw some seasonality in home sales in our area, which we don't typically see. So other areas experience seasonality as far as more home sales in the spring and summer versus the fall and winter. But our market historically has always stayed fairly flat all year long. No major peaks during the quote unquote peak buying season and no major dips during the slowdown. And we saw a return to that normal market conditions last year. And when you look at this graph of pricings of list price versus sales price, you can see that the list price steadily grew. There's a lot of factors in that. We don't have time to go through all of it. Some of it is the amount of new homes, new construction going on the market, which tends to be priced a little higher. Some of it is people still have expectations of a market like 2022 or 2021. And the sales price, even though there were some pretty high peaks and low valleys on a month to month basis, you can see overall that trended up for the year as well, but at a modest 3% gain, like I showed you before, not the double digit gains we saw for a few years. So what does all that mean for 2026? Well, let's get into it. Let's start with mortgage rates because that's what everyone asks for first. In 2026, most major forecasters predict that mortgage rates will stay fairly flat in the low 6% range. We're not going back to 3% rates, so quit waiting on those. We'll probably never see those again in my lifetime. But the good news is the wild swings in rates that we saw in the previous years seems to be over. This stability is important because home buyers are no longer waiting on the sidelines, waiting for rates to magically improve. They're adjusting and they're ready to buy. The next big shift in the Tri-Cities real estate market is inventory. There are more homes for sale than there were a couple of years ago, which you can see December of 2025 compared to 2023, there's almost 75% more homes for sale. And that's creating a more balanced market. Homes are still selling, but buyers now have choices. This means that price, condition, and presentation matter a lot more than they used to. This is where sellers really need to pay attention in 2026. Sellers need to be prepared to negotiate more with buyers. We're seeing more requests for price adjustments, closing cost help, and repair requests after inspections. That does not mean the market is weak. It means we're back to a normal, healthy market. Sellers who price their homes realistically and stay flexible in negotiations with buyers are still selling their homes successfully. Sellers who expect the market from 2 or 3 years ago are the ones getting stuck. The other major change for sellers in 2026 is preparation. Buyers are more successful. Buyers are more selective. Homes that are clean, well maintained, and move-in ready are standing out immediately. Homes that need work or weren't prepared properly are sitting longer and often selling for less. That means taking care of deferred maintenance, making small cosmetic improvements, and presenting the home correctly from day one. In this market, preparation directly impacts your final sale price. Even with higher rates and more inventory, prices here in the Tri-Cities have remained strong. People are still moving here for jobs, lifestyle, and affordability. That long-term demand is what is keeping this market stable. For buyers, 2026 actually offers more opportunity. There's less competition, more negotiating power, and the ability to make smart, informed decisions, options buyers didn't have a few years ago. So whether you're buying, selling, or just trying to understand where the market is headed, the key takeaway for 2026 is this: strategy matters more than speed. If you have questions about your home value or want to walk through your options, feel free to reach out. Don't forget to like, subscribe, share, and hit the notification bell for more updates on the Tri-Cities real estate market. I'm Jay Cottrell. Let's get going.